before we even get into the coding part, it's quite essential to have a well-defined project scope. Identifying who our end users are, what all the requirements are there for the project, and what success looks like.
Generally think like, okay, I want to become a software engineer, and for that Java or C++, the industry standard languages, are the best, because in the companies, in the problem solving round, mainly like these two are heavily and most commonly used languages. What are the approaches you follow for writing clean code?
System design is basically it defines the blueprint on which our whole functionality would work, and how everything would be structured in our project. I'll cover both aspects here, low-level design and a few aspects of high-level design. So as far as low-level design is concerned, using those low-level design principles adds reusability and modularity to code. So not just the design principles, but also using the solid principles, single responsibility principle, open close principles, and the others of them.
They literally changed the way I look at software engineering. I mean, the way they used to approach any problem, any issue, I literally loved that. I was like, wow, I mean, they don't look at problems in the way I look. I mean, their approach was literally amazing. We used to have some meetings as well, like open source meeting and all.
Even when I entered my first company, I had a mentor there. So I reached out to some person in the team, and that person has helped me become an actual software engineer.
Code with passion and your work will speak for itself. Hi everyone, welcome to Scalers YouTube channel. I am Soumya, a software engineer and an educator.
And I am Mahima Hans, a software engineer and a mentor, which means I guide people preparing for tech placements. So before we get into the podcast, make sure to check out our free masterclasses by industry-leading experts on the Scalers event page.
Link is in the description. So Mahima, before we start our discussion, would you like to share your tech journey, how you got passionate about tech?
Well, the passion to pursue tech goes way back to my childhood. Ever since I was a kid, I was fascinated by math and problem solving. And, I would spend hours solving puzzles and logic games and all of that. So when I was in my 10th standard, a friend introduced me to C language. And I was literally intrigued, to see how we can use tech to solve real world problems and to make our lives easier. That's when I started, delving deep into the world of programming and tech. And the way it constantly challenged me over and over again, I love that feeling. And then ever since then, I have been exploring a lot of domains and, breaking down a problem into smaller pieces and trying to solve it. I really love that. And that's how I got into tech.
That's amazing. So now let's start with some real tech talks. So how do you effectively approach a code project from the ideation phase, which is the first phase, right?
Yeah.
Till like deployment and production?
So Soumya, before we even get into the coding part, it's quite essential to have a well-defined project scope. Identifying who our end users are, what all the requirements are there for the project, and what success looks like for the project. And then there comes breaking the project into smaller parts for step-by-step development. And once, it's assigned and distributed among the team, then comes planning the code, finalizing on the design, and then starting with the code to build the minimum viable product first. After that, accompanies our testing and, bug fixing, code reviews, working on the comments by senior developers. After that, there's automated testing and deployment pipelines to ensure that the code is thoroughly tested before going into the production. And even when it goes, it's very crucial to monitor our product. So look out for errors, bugs, and user feedback to continuously improve it. So that's a basic flow of the journey that it takes to go from ideation to production. Yeah. So Soumya, I'm curious, what would you suggest for, beginners, how to get into the programming world, how to pick their first language, or how to start with coding?
Right. So kind of this is one of the, most commonly asked question by the freshers, because this is kind of first step of getting into the tech world, picking the right programming language. And like juniors are always like Java or C++, Python or C++.
Right.
So I would say the best thing to pick the right language is decide your goal. For an example, let's say you want to become a software engineer in a good company, in a startup or product based company. So I think you should go with the industry standard programming languages. You can start with either Java or C++. And after that, you have to also work on projects, right? So for projects, you can decide like which excites you, like mobile application development, web development, machine learning, or artificial intelligence. There are so many things. You can maybe explore each of this, like what programming languages are needed for each of this, and then like you can get into it. For example, if developing mobile application excites you, then you can go ahead for that. If you feel like, okay, if I develop website, I will feel better, or I will have a good career, you can start with that. So for web, you can go ahead with HTML, CSS. If you want to deep dive into mobile application development, then there are subtopics, right? There is Android, iOS, and cross-platform. So like for Android, Java, Kotlin, or Flutter, Dart, Swift, there are multiple things, right? And if you want to get into like machine learning and all, then Python would be the best language. So I think goal is the most important thing. And if you are missing, like you don't know what technology or which domain you want to get into, you can like generally think like, okay, I want to become a software engineer. And for that, Java or C++, the industry standard languages, are the best, because in the companies, in the problem solving round, mainly like these two are heavily and most commonly used languages. So I hope that covers the question.
Yeah. And in fact, for Java and C++,
Yeah.
they're good for learning object-oriented programming
Exactly.
concepts as well. So that's gonna really help in the long run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Mahima, now I want to take our discussion further. What are the approaches you follow for writing clean code?
So Soumya, I think writing clean, well-formatted and readable code is really important in our day-to-day coding practices. There are a couple of things that I personally follow. The first one is using meaningful names for my variables, my functions, classes, all of that. It adds readability to the code quite a bit, and it becomes easier to understand when anybody is going through your codes. Then comes adding relevant comments to your code, adding the whats and the whys to the comments. There's that. Then there's adding unit test cases to your code, to ensure and verify the correctness of the code. Then there's using solid principles while writing the code to ensure best coding practices. There's also using design principles, and the more important thing is to choose the right design principle while coding, the one that best fits your use case, and the one that solves the problem in the best way, and that could make your code scalable in the long run. That's one thing. And yeah, I feel these are the best practices that one should follow while writing good quality code.
Yeah.
So Soumya, tell me one thing, like why do you think writing clean and understandable code is crucial for us?
Right. I would say this is habit of a good software engineer. Especially, let's say, if you are working in a team, in your organization, if you are, let's say, a team of 50 engineers, 100 engineers, or even 10 engineers. So whatever code you have written, that should be readable by other software engineers, because I especially like I have worked on multiple open source projects as well. So there as well, I mean, thousands of developers from across the globe come and they contribute to the same project. There are so many coding files, so many things are there. So let's say if you write in a way where even the variable name is not clear, right?
Yeah.
So the other software engineer will get confused. I mean, what this piece of code is doing, what this variable is used for. That's why, like, following clean code, these steps that Mahima shared are really crucial. Camel case is also very important, right? When writing code, it should look very easy to understand. It shouldn't be like
Elegant.
to figure out that, okay, what this variable is doing or what that variable is doing. Also, I wanted to add one more thing in that like previous discussion which we were having about clean code. I think code annotation also helps a lot.
Yeah.
And so let's discuss about that as well. According to you, Mahima, like what are the benefits of code annotation, and why like a beginner or a senior software engineer should follow code annotation?
So Soumya, I think annotations are a very crucial aspect of coding. So they help us understand the code better when we or anybody else is referring to the code later, right? And so basically they define a clear purpose of what the functions are doing or what specific segments of code are doing. And we all face this, not just you, not just me, everybody knows it, that sometimes code just becomes ancient, like it was written 7 years back and I'm referring it to it today. So understanding that becomes a real challenge. In that case, annotations really help us out. Then, when the code base grows and we have to maintain it and, troubleshoot the bugs and issues, in that case, annotations help us identify the root cause of certain problems. And that's how helpful they are. I mean, so Soumya, my question to you would be, how would you say anybody in 2024, how should a person start their career journey in 2024?
Okay. So let me answer it this way. I'll take my example. If I have to start my tech journey all over again in 2024, then how will I go about it? To be honest, I will literally follow almost all the same procedures which I already did. Step number one, learn a programming language. Okay. So again, like this, I know is confusing, but decide the goal, what your goal is.
Yeah.
And I am assuming like, because my goal in the beginning was to get into like software engineering domain to become a software engineer. So start with industry standard language, like either C++, Java. So in like 11th and 12th, I had C++, and later on I find Java more interesting. And I'll go ahead with Java again in 2024.
You are an Android developer, right?
I'm very much into developing applications, that's true. But like I started my journey this way only, like picking a programming language, right? And after that, we have to do DSC, like in syllabus as well, university as well. We have all those things. So data structure and algorithm, the second step, do a lot of problem solving, solve questions from lead code. You can take help from like interview bit, which is platform or scalar only. There are like good question categories, themes, everything is there, right? You can take help from there. You can read blogs, more interview preparation guide and all those things. And obviously then we have to make projects as well, because in resume we have to add project. Then this time maybe like I already have, because it's explored more of mobile application development. So maybe I might pick something else, but literally like I love developing applications. So that depends, but it depends person to person. Like for the step 3 projects, you can decide based on your interest, which domain excites you more. If it's machine learning, that's completely okay. I mean, go ahead with that. But because in step number 1, I picked Java, so I'd prefer going with maybe like mobile application development, because there are Java and Kotlin, specifically Android, can be used, right? So I'll make some projects of that, some exciting mobile application. And last but not the least, very important, I will not miss out on the like variety of extra things which I did, like hackathons, contributing to open source projects, being part of so many tech communities out there. Because to be honest, like I got a lot of knowledge, I got a lot of exposure from all those things.
Right.
And networking literally plays a very significant role. I mean, you get a bunch of opportunities from your networks only. So I think, yeah, these are the crisp 4 steps which I will follow if I kind of start my tech journey all over again in 2024. Yeah.
Also, like, how many projects would you recommend a person or maybe a beginner should add to their resume? How many good quality projects should be there?
I think 2 to 3 good projects are more than enough. But when I'm saying project, so don't be like make a chatbot app and add it, because it will add no value to your resume. I highly recommend making and adding such projects to your resume which have some social impact, which is actually changing life of people out there. It can be like maybe you participate in some hackathon and that project is kind of selected somewhere, like the projects which I built in SIH. It was for ESIC hospital, that's a government hospital, right? They are using it. Or maybe for Delhi Police Hackathon, the Delhi Police, they are kind of using the application which I built. So I have added these kind of things in the resume. So when the interviewer will, read the resume, he or she will be like, oh wow, like the application, the project that she has created is already being used, right? Even open source is also one of the best ways, because open source projects are kind of used by thousands, by millions of people. So if you will, let's say, make even 2-3 PRs in there and you will add it to your resume, interviewer will indeed be impressed that if he or she can write code in such huge software, then he or she would be a good fit, right? So yeah, I think 2 or 3 good ones are more than enough. And with that being said, I want to highlight in system design now. So I want to take your opinion. Why do you think, like, for building softwares, system design is important?
So Soumya, I feel that system design is, basically it defines the blueprint on which our whole functionality would work and how everything would be structured in our project. I'll cover both aspects here, low-level design and a few aspects of high-level design. So as far as low-level design is concerned, using those low-level design principles adds reusability and modularity to code. So not just the design principles, but also using the solid principles, single responsibility principle, open close principles, and the others of them. So basically, it not only makes your code more readable, it makes it more maintainable in the long term. It makes it more understandable, more clean, and anybody who is coming to make changes or review that code, it becomes easier to maintain it in the long run, to understand it. So that's where low-level design principles come into picture. Another aspect I like about it is, making the code reusable. So, when I am coding, I try to make those components reusable, even in the front end. So I was recently building an Angular component. I made it reusable, and it was literally used by 4 or 5 of other components. So that is really good. That saves a lot of effort. That reduces the redundancy that we can have. So that's the aspect where the low-level design comes into picture. And then talking about high-level design, first, it's about scalability, definitely. So maybe currently the user base would be small, maybe the requirements would be small, but it eventually grows, right? Maybe the demand increases, our user base increases. In that case, scaling our all the resources, scaling our project to a level where we can cater to the needs of the users. That's where a robust system design really helps us. Right. And then, having a good system design for our project also helps with reusability and efficiency. So when I say efficiency, it's not just saving on the resources, not just saving on the cost, but also saving on the developer time. Right. So, if developer time is saved, we all know how much time it takes for coding, testing, and all of that. So all these things, I feel, is where system design really helps us. So Soumya, along with scalability, maintainability, and writing good quality code, I feel there's another aspect which we need to touch on, that is documentation, and that definitely plays an important role. Could you please highlight on why it is important and more about it? Yeah.
Yes. So I would say documentation is integral part of software engineering. As software engineer, apart from writing code, testing, documentation is literally very important. And unfortunately, many software engineers don't follow this practice. I mean, they kind of write code, they work on features, but they don't document it, which become harder for other team members who are joining the team later. Like I have personally felt it, even like in open source project as well as in the organization. Like just imagine an open source project without any detail, without any documentation. I mean, no developer can contribute to it, right? So I think documentation is literally very important. Even if you are like creating a small feature, just document it, what that piece of code is doing, or maybe what that feature is about. That will help your users as well as the other developers, other software engineers as well. Well, like we have kind of dedicated documentation teams as well, who kind of write documentation for the users. Like if there is something, some product is going live, and like users have to understand what that is about, then documentation team is there. But we as software engineers should take care of the coding aspect.
Right.
Like if we are writing some piece of code, we are developing some feature, just document it. Or maybe just document the process, how you are doing certain thing.
Yeah.
Let's say if you are building a TAF, you are prioritizing a top real dependency, just document the process that, okay, these are the step number 1, 2, 3, like that. And yeah, that's how significant the documentation part is. That's how important documentation is.
Yeah. I would say it was an amazing answer and quite informative. I would also like to add that, specifically adding documentation for the setup steps for the project really helps someone who's coming for the first time to, contribute or work on any feature or bug. So, yeah, I think that covers it up.
Yeah. So let's now highlight software engineering in 2024. According to you, if someone want to become software engineer in the coming year, how should they go about it?
So, Soumya, since you already talked about how to choose the right path for yourself, how to choose the right language, right, and how to go as per your interest to choose the right field for you. So, I would let's talk about how to upskill yourself as a fresher in the software engineering field. So I would say that stay updated on the latest tech trends, latest programming languages in the industry, and not just focusing on what you are currently working on, but also focusing on something which is trending as well as which aligns with your interests, so that it maintains a perfect balance, right? So this is the age of AI, right? And we all know there are going to be a lot of jobs for machine learning engineers, for AI related jobs are going to boom in the near future. So that's an opportunity to explore, right? There are other fields like cloud computing, cyber security, which are also trending. We can consider that path for upskilling ourselves. Then comes networking, and I would say this has helped me a lot in my initial days. So even when I was a fresher and I was in my third and fourth year, I was already connected to a lot of software engineers in the top organizations, right? And they were kind of helping me to get where they are, right? So that has helped me a lot. Networking, attending tech meetups, conferences, connecting with people on LinkedIn or any other platforms are possible. Then I would also say that apart from the projects that you're doing as a part of your work, you can also focus upon side projects, personal projects that will help you explore different technologies and the latest technologies, right? And even when I entered my first company, I had a mentor there. So I reached out to some person in the team, and that person has helped me become an actual software engineer. So, yeah, there's work. We learn from work, but there are certain other aspects, right? Becoming good at the design principles, learning high level, low level design, all of that. So, having a mentor in that case becomes very helpful for you. So now I am at a stage where I mentor people, to improve their tech journeys, to reach where they want to. So all these things are really crucial to upskill yourself into 2024, I would say. So Soumya, do you also have a message for our audience today?
For sure. Like if our audience, if they are in the tech background already, or if they want to excel into tech, I would say the very first thing, don't get overwhelmed or don't get confused by so many domains or programming languages which are already in the industry. Because I have seen like even people who are already software engineer want to, as you said, upskill.
Okay.
They are kind of now should I switch the domain to maybe data science, or should I get into cloud computing? I would say in the tech domain, it is vast. There are so many things. And if you are good at something, don't confuse yourself. It's completely okay. If you are learning something, if you are doing something with 110% perfection, dedication, then you will indeed achieve great results. Now, some students are like, okay, like so maybe I have started web development and I'm feeling like there is lack of opportunity in this or something. I would say it is completely okay. I mean, they are now kind of after web development, they're willing to explore more of by application development. So after, I guess, learning one dev thing in the college, you should focus more on maybe solving questions, because in the software engineering internship or for placements, everything is going to play significant role. Problem solving, project. If you have already built good projects, that's fine. Now you want to the other thing, right? So maintaining a good balance is also very important. And secondly, don't confuse yourself, as you already said. And yes, I would say that as you mentioned, as you highlighted, mentorship is indeed important. Like when I was doing open source contribution, so in the Vito.org organization, there was like many people were there. Isabel Costa and Maybelline, these two people, they literally changed the way I look at software engineering. I mean, the way they used to approach any problem, any issue, I literally loved that. I was like, wow. I mean, they don't look at problems in the way I look. I mean, their approach was literally amazing. We used to have some meetings as well, like open source meeting and all. Yeah. So that's really amazing. And in the organization as well, like Stefan Appedat, he guided me about web dev. I mean, when I was in college, I focused a lot on my application development. So I was given tasks related to JavaScript, CSS. I got so nervous. I mean, I was like, okay, I didn't like web development at all. I just know basics of HTML, CSS, and all. So he was like, it's okay. It's completely okay. You are fresh out of university. You are not supposed to know everything, right? And he guided me a lot. So indeed, I mean, mentorship, guidance, networking, all these things play a significant role. Make most out of it. Make most out of anything you do. Learn with perfection, learn a lot, give more time to solving problems, making projects on your own, and yes, attend conferences, make good people. Because if you will be surrounded with good people now, you will yourself feel motivated. So surround yourself with people who have the same goal as you have. So these are the kind of messages that I'd love to give to the audience who are watching it. Your take on this, what message you want to give to people?
Sure. So, Soumya, I would have a piece of advice for the freshers here. So, I see a lot of freshers coming to me and saying that they're nervous. Like when they start coding, they feel that it's not their cup of tea. Because when they start initially, it's kind of hard for them to solve the questions by themselves. They come to me and say that we're not able to solve the questions by ourselves, or we think we won't be able to make it. But honestly, this is a phase, this is a cycle that everybody goes through. So when we start, we're all beginners, right? Even we have faced situations where we were not able to solve even easy questions. Yes, now we are at a stage where we can, come up with ideas for even hard questions. But we've all gone through this phase, and it will be there for everybody. So if you are facing this, don't lose confidence at all. Give your best. I would say set a time limit for yourself. So say, you have set that for easy questions you will think out loud for like 15-20 minutes, and then if you're not able to solve, go to the solution, check out different approaches to solve that question. Why I'm saying checking out multiple approaches, because that would help in help you further in other questions as well, formulating better approaches for other questions as well. So I would say go through the solutions initially, but always write code yourself. Right. Then, even from the starting, we should also focus on writing good, well structured code, following the variable naming rules and all of that. So, gradually, starting with the solutions, there will be a phase where you will be able to solve questions by yourself. So, have faith on yourself. That is one thing I would like to say. And building up on what you said, that surround yourself with the right company. So I had a group of 4 people in my college, and we used to code together. So we joined a coaching institute together, and then we were, helping each other track our progress, pushing each other, motivating each other, being accountability check for each other. So if you can, form that sort of group where you all help each other move forward in your journey, that can be great. So try to find the right set of people who help you grow. That is what I can say. And have faith in yourself. You're definitely going to make it.
Those were great pointers, Mahima. Thank you for adding that.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys were able to gain some value out of the podcast. And I wish you all the very best for your tech journeys ahead.
And if you like the podcast, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to Scalar's YouTube channel for more such insightful content.